activism and transformation, it is so important the time during the whole week that there are conversations about consent, conversations about race and racism, conversations about privileged class, conversations about different able bodies, African talent, intellectual spaces, and the complexities they face in spaces, right? And so conversations need to happen during that time. And as president, it is very important that people in this institution, regardless of whether you're a humanities student or you are studying mathematics, statistics, at the end of the day, you are a person and you need to know what society, how it functions, right? You need to learn about other people's identities. You need to learn about the person next to you. Holding student colloquiums is something that I think should happen as well, each semester, where there is some form of a student summit, quite similar to what happened last year, but just for students. And that could be which the ground and the conversation happening about various problems in the institution, right? Challenge and developing space. So one of the things that I really is that in as much as we use the platform, the gender, these are systems that people need to use, that the SRC needs to use, so that when we leave, we are creating sustainable leadership, changing policies, and that is how we are going to be able to really legitimize the SRC and make them accountable for the work that they do. I want to quickly also speak about legitimizing demonstrations. Fees must fall, argue reference list, and the recent total shutdown. But all these movements have created something at Rhodes University. They've created important that protest demonstrations in the really are legitimized, right? So when I was working people from Rhodes University chairing the total shutdown, one thing that I learned is the experience of having police permits. That is so important. Having marshals, adequate advertising, institutional recognition, and this is to protect the student. Because it's so easy for one person to go out there and start saying, let us protest, but the after effects are going to catch you alone. And it is so important that we think of one another whenever students decide to come together and bring about change. I am running out of time. Establishment of a gender equity office. So Rhodes University is known as an institution that has a lot of task teams, right? It is so important that all the information that was from the RU reference list, there is an office that is opened, and that is the Gender Equity Office. I ran out of time. Cool. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Right now, the floor is going to be opened up to the panel to ask questions. After the panel, the student body gets 3 questions, 4 questions from the panel, and the panel shall introduce themselves.
Hi, Malele. My name is Bonita. You are running under the banner of transformation, which is very important. My question to you is, what do you understand the role of the SRC president to be, and how, if you feel it does, it differ to that of activism and transformation counselor? And secondly, as the SRC president, how will you make sure that all students' concerns are equally represented? Thank you.
First question is, what is the mandate of the SRC? The mandate of the SRC president, it is to be the face. You are the one responsible for your council, for the council, bring about representation, which is very important, to bring about communicating, you are the link from your council. And then the second, activism. I think this is one of the hardest I loved, right? And that is perfectly fine. How I think is important actually is that activists can be presidents. Activists should lead, and activists should bring about the change that maybe we haven't been seeing in time, or maybe that I don't know, but that's something that I've continuously tried to do. And then the third question is, if you can remind me, how can I make sure that I bring about representation? So even when during the work of activism, yeah, is the form of activism takes the shape of intersectionality, right? And recognizes, marginal identities come together and intersect. So different able people, race, gender, sex, religion, class. And one thing I do not want people to leave with is this idea that activists have one mandate, right? Because even though there might be a kind of mandate a person can have, but the most important thing is there is emancipation for everyone through achieving one thing. Thank you.
Hello, Pulele, I'm Linda, PG student here. So looking at what you've done this year in your manifesto to do was to bring about gender neutral split qualify happen. This was not really able to be accomplished due to challenges out of your control, fairly so. But having said that, what difficulties did you encounter? Should you acquire the position of presidency?
So one thing that I think I learned this year is in as much as you have a lot of ideas, the most important thing is to use the channels that are provided for you to bring about that change. And when we're speaking about the gender neutral, or rather not gender neutral, right, is not knowing that the platform existed, right? Not knowing that platform existed, and only now finding out such platform and how it is so important. Always, especially coming from the presidency, there is a more of a communication of various portfolios to understand how one can use the other, working with the residence councillor and those residents. Yeah.
Hi, Pomelele. My name is Adam. In both your speech and your answer to this question, you emphasize the importance of taking advantage of the platforms that are available. And twice in your manifesto, you talk about the importance of putting in time and effort. And I think whilst a lot of us here can empathize with your broad strategies, what do you think it says about your candidacy that your manifesto is the shortest, is incredibly vague, and was submitted late? Do you see on the time and effort you're putting into these things?
So I think, firstly, the reason why that manifesto is short is because I was at Wits University doing a research paper. I was presenting my research paper at a conference, and that is the main reason why. I did do my work there as well, but at the same time, just because something's my job, but I'm not going to hand in something that I'm not proud of. So the extent of that work is something that is not reflected on my presentation right now, right?
Hi, I'm Saul from the old SRC Student Defense Council. In your manifesto, you're speaking about shifting the class pattern. Now, which class? Is it the ideological middle class, the elitist, the elitism, or the working class? Which class in particular are you talking about? Because you just mentioned shifting the class pattern. That's it. Shifting the class pattern. Point number 2 in the manifesto. Shifting.
Okay. All right. So basically, what I meant by shifting the class burden is most of the times, one thing we constantly see is a lot of students who do not occupy classes that are very privileged. They find themselves very excluded, like in the institution. And one way is what the SRC is currently pushing for. It's to have supplementary exams happen in the same year the academic projects happen is going to benefit students in so many ways, because when you leave university and you go back home, we're all making the assumption. We're making the assumption that when you come back, you're gonna have a place to stay. And that is not, something that is like widespread and everyone experiences. So when I say shifting the class burden, it's creating changes that will be inclusive for people in this institution.
Thank you very much. That was the last question from our panel. The floor is now open to the student body. 3 questions will be taken. I've noted you. Any other 2? And third one? Once I've closed, I will not open it again. Thank you very much.
In your speech, that you said something about getting police. So during exams, there was an incident where a student was raped, and exams still continued, and students were afraid to protest because we signed a contract to say we're not going to protest. So what do you intend on doing in events where something happens, and because we're afraid of being excluded, we cannot protest?
I think one thing I am going to say, and that is very so that is a very sticky space, because one thing I always really worry about it's the repercussions for protesting. Right, a lot can happen to people, and as we've seen in previous years, you find yourself protest and you end up not being even in the space you're protesting for. And so I think in that space as well, there is still an opportunity to do things legitimately so. Yeah. And that is perhaps following things in that the kind of power presidents have, is to have that direct communication with the vice, the registrar.
I think when you have
Sorry very much. Please take the mic.
My question is more of a follow-up question. My question is more of a follow-up question from the question. Your justification as you are off campus busy with your research. So I think we would want to have a president who will be on campus full time and have their hands on as on course. So I'd like to know next year, are you going to be busy with the research, or how are you planning to balance the work of the SRC and your academics?
So the research is not something that happens every day, right? It's something that happens once a year, and the way in which I plan my leadership skills and the various things I do a lot of things, right? However, it doesn't affect my academics. I know how to manage my schedule, and such a position, I think I've
My name is Rani. I've come this evening as a student to serve you, the student body, as your president. Many of you tonight don't know who I am or where I come from. Allow me to paint you a picture. Picture a boy born in a small town like this, in the heart of KwaZulu-Natal, born to a single mother and a grandmother who raised him. I have been inspired by these two women who raised me, and I felt the spirit of servitude coursing through my veins. As such, in my first year, I ran as senior student later. I later then ran as Nelson Mandela Hall senior student and stepping in as the acting SRC Hall rep whilst being choir conductor. Currently, I am a history tutor and Hope Dean's house administrator. I have served the students from diverse backgrounds with different portfolios. In office, I hope to make our SRC visible campus. I believe the SRC needs to do better and engage with students more. I call on you, the student body, in the same breath to appoint leaders who attend student parliament to their constituencies. The SRC can help the students. I hold those leaders accountable, and therefore the students spend more. Practical steps towards this visibility is a dedicated RMR in shows broadcasting in dining halls during lunch and supper, allowing the students to hear directly from their leaders every day and giving feedback. Students have raised the issue that there's a lack of communication between the SRC and the students. This initiative addresses this issue, bringing the SRC to the people and the people to the SRC. Speaking to sexual gender-based violence, this issue affects the whole country and has filtered down into this university and this institution. As the president of the SRC, I will ensure that this university does more in addressing the issue of gender-based violence. I will do this by having ongoing conversations in different issues like consent, rape, amongst pertinent issues that make this university feel unsafe. These whole university structures, because rape affects everyone and the whole institution of Rose University. I will work closely with the relevant SRC councillors to ensure that from all week all the way to the end of our term, that there are constant workshops, there's a constant communication of addressing these issues. Lastly, myself with the SRC would then also engage with the 93 recommendations made by the ad hoc task team, looking at the ways how this institution can do more to deal with gender-based violence. The importance of these workshops is not that we speak, but to have a plan of action and an implementation of these ideas. Our institution is faced with a serious lack of awareness about HIV and AIDS. As the SRC president, I will work with the HIV office to raise awareness on issues around HIV and AIDS. First, we will work with this office to promote these campaigns and make them more visible. On the matter faced by international community, in my time as president, I hope to get the SRC to cater to the interests of the international community, who are part of our community. You too matter within this institution. During my time here, I have heard my African brothers and sisters from the border community this issue, to disseminate information in this process and to streamline the process, to create an intercultural space that bridges the divide across different races, beliefs, backgrounds, nation states, and countries. My story is only part of the bigger lived experience of the student body. Through the presidency, I hope to unite the student body through celebrating that diversity, to transform the space to reflect the identities of students, fighting the isms that plague our campus. I ask the student body to partner with me to make this change. In me, you'll find a leader who's consistent, hardworking, passionate about serving the students. If you sense my sincerity to make this change, I believe you'll find a president within me, a leader who's passionate about students' interests.